Welcome to another episode of Shape Your Truth. I'm Dr. Kamika Baylor, and I'm your host today. And we are going to do a follow-up video with my aunt, Cynthia Polk. And we're going to talk a little bit more about faith and obesity or overweight and what it's like in the Black church, and see what we think about it. See what she pick her brain on this subject, okay? Like I said last time, my aunt is a woman of God, pastor, former pastor wife, Bible teacher, Sunday school teacher, all the teachers for church. She's done it all. She's been a wonderful example to women, mentoring women in the Lord and in life in general. And we're going to talk to her today. She also has started her new group of teaching other women about the Lord and the Bible, those that may not be able to get out the house or do things like they used to. So she's starting that new endeavor, and it's going to start really soon. So we'll keep you posted on the things that's going on with that, okay? So now let's continue with this is part 2 of our episode. We're talking about faith in the church. This is my aunt Cynthia Pope. Hi, I'm Piggy.
Hey.
So we're gonna jump right in. We already been talking, so I'm like, well, let's sit down and record this because we've been talking just amongst us. So let's see what people think. Let's get their view as well on what we're been talking about. So I'm gonna pick my aunt's brain on a few questions. Can you reflect on your earliest memory of being aware of your body size, and how did those moments shape your perception?
I think, well, when we were kids, my brothers, I'm going to put it on them, but we used to tease each other, but they used to always go for my weight. So I understood that I weighed more than the average child, right? And you said, how did it reflect on me?
How did those moments reflect on your perception, shape, and
I don't know if that bothered me as much, or maybe it just made me aware, right? So I think, as I said before, it's when I went to school and the people didn't love me like my family, and they would say harsh things. Then that had more effect on me than what I went. My brothers teasing me, and it just let me know. When I dealt with people, all in my head, it was always that I knew that I was weighing more than the average person, right?
So you say that when you're thinking of how you did things, do you feel like that perception about your weight changed how you would have did things otherwise?
Well, I think I became maybe because you become more careful of, you don't want people to talk about you. So you become more careful, or you don't want them to think about your weight. So in front of people, you'll be more careful with what you do, because you know your weight is always it's on your mind. And so you, whatever it is, where the average person would just think to act a certain way, I would think about what would make me look more fat. Like, you know, if I do this, am I going to draw attention to myself, right? So it kind of, it affects you on what you do and how you relate, right? To people.
Yep. I feel the same way. Growing up, did your experience of weight and influence your interactions socially or at church or with the church people, like the people in your congregation? Or
I wouldn't. It's hard to separate because it's always on your mind, right? It was always on my mind. I knew this about myself, so that was always on my mind. But it wasn't always on the forefront, I guess. And so our interaction, what I guess would be as normal as I would know it to be, you know, because how do you know the difference if it has always been on your mind? How do you know which way I would be acting if I never fat?
Never was fat. So guess what I'm trying to say about the church situation. Do you feel like health or being healthy and how you treat your body was a big talk about in church?
No, it wasn't. It was church was always more spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said previously, now that I'm older, we think about being more well-rounded, right? But when I was younger, it was always spiritual. And so, weight and different things, it was second. But it was,
So I feel like the same way, like especially in the Black church, we don't do the best job at taking care of the temple. We monitor what spiritual things go in.
That's right. That's right.
Those kind of negative things, but we don't monitor
the physical body.
Yes. And even we say those things that we're doing negatively to our body. We don't monitor that.
I think you being who you are and working in the medical industry and caring about the weight, we at church think more about it now because of who you are. I don't know if you remember we did the weight challenges and stuff that you got us started in. And I think those are the things that start us thinking more about weight than we.
I remember this what really started making me put that together. I was young. I don't know if I was in high school or maybe early, right out of high school. It was a movie with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and it was on the 7 Deadly Sins, right?
Yeah.
And the guy was a serial killer. He was acting out the 7 Deadly Sins, and I saw that one on gluttony, and I was wow. I was like, ooh, weird sin. And that was the first time I knew that God gave rules. I mean, he gave us a standard of how we're supposed to be.
We're supposed to take care of his temple.
Right. So, and that really stuck in my mind too. Like, we don't do this one. No. Yeah. So that was the first time that I noticed that this probably wasn't what God wants you to do. Yeah.
I think that in church, we discussed this. Fellowship is always involving some food, right? And we don't think we're not big eaters. No. But other church members maybe big. We don't help because we want to feed people and make them happy, and but I think the problem with us, because we're not big eaters, we probably should have chose better what to serve than to just have all that the fattening food there, right?
So some of those good fellowship dinners probably contribute to some of these diseases that we have in the church. So I was gonna say that. Okay, I had a couple of more questions about that. So, would you say that the Black church is more overweight or average weight, or what do you think? I tend to think that for the majority we are overweight, or maybe even more obese than overweight. What do you think?
Yes, we are. But I think it still goes back to those we don't help each other, I guess, because we that's part of when you eat, you want to be happy and you want to enjoy what you eat. And so we just have it all there instead of saying, oh, I will get 3 things. We have enough to, we just have a great big picnic just laid out there. And then so it's free for the most part. So we're not being selective. So we're just, hey, let me get a big plate and put, a lot of everything on it.
Yeah, I think sometimes those things feel like an extra treat or something like, okay, give me a little pass to do something, eat more than I usually would.
And then we'll say, this is the biggest issue. We'll start Monday. Yeah. We'll do something about it on Monday, but right now we're going to enjoy ourselves.
Tomorrow the diet. And then we were talking about something earlier that I think is really good. We were talking about the Bible, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and how they did the famous Daniel fast while they were, working for the king's servants, or they were in the king's camp, or like part of the royalty or whatever. And God gave them this diet. I mean, he told them what to do. He unctioned them how they could still honor him without making the king upset, or still being in regulation with what they want to do, and keep their weight up. So we were saying, like, a lot of people do this Daniel fast to kind of like start out like their health journey or something like that. But and I was thinking it's probably a good way to have a cleanse or something like that. But we were talking about how it wasn't even set up for that, right? At all, right? It was set up to sustain them, so they wouldn't get the weight, all right?
Yeah, so that they wouldn't lose weight. So they were supposed to look just as fresh and as because they promised, they told the I want to call them, they told the guy that was over them, we won't, basically they wouldn't lose weight. We're going to look good, because he thought, hey, I'm going to get in trouble. And so it's supposed to maintain your weight and look refreshed and everything, right? So it's basically a miracle, because if you start off to do the Daniel fast, right, you're going to lose some weight, right? But they did not.
So it was showing God's power to sustain them.
What? Because they want to honor God.
Because they want to honor God. So that led me to some deep thought. We can honor God even in the way that we eat. And and we know a lot of times we fast. And that's a practice that we use to consecrate ourselves or get closer to God. But what I saw is studying fasting and even having the surgery and realizing that it's essentially fasting too, you know what I mean? That God does a small miracle inside of your body, spiritually and metabolically, when you do this fast.
Yes, I think it's good to do. And I've seen people do it for a while and they lose weight, but I think then after that,
You gotta
how are we going to how are we going to maintain it after we lose that weight? And I think that's the biggest issue, because we just from growing up trying different diets and everything, and for a minute those diets, they work. And then after I am off of them, okay, now how am I going to live without having that particular diet? And so that becomes an issue for all of us who lose weight. And maybe we do the fad diets and we get the weight loss we are trying to achieve, right? We hit that goal, but how do we maintain that weight loss, right?
Afterwards, have a plan.
You got to have a plan. Or you just do the yo-yo thing. You gain some weight and then you say, oh, let me get back on it again.
And truth could be said the same thing when you're doing your fast. What is your plan after the fast too? Like for a spiritual fast, I should say. You're doing that to kind of get closer to God. What is your plan after that fast?
That's true, too? Kamika. That's true. Because you do the fast to get closer to the Lord, but you want to maintain that closeness. So what are you going to do? It is the praying, it is the reading the word, it is the listening to the word, it's meditating. And that is the harder work, I would say, because that has to be consistent. Right? Yeah. So after you do that fast to draw yourself closer to the Lord, then, okay, have you got everything in place to even maintain that closeness and even draw you more or closer to the Lord?
So I like to think of God being this great scientist, and he's doing all of these experiments inside of our body, and he knows what the result is going to be, but he's just mixing it up in there, like in the lab. And while we doing a fast, I feel like there's a lot of things you can discipline yourself to while you're doing a fast. That can be both spiritual, physical, definitely, and emotional as well. Yep. So I found that when I'm doing a fast, my brain is clearer, right?
Yes.
And I'm able to think a little clearer also not just my life and my situation, but also how I want to be with God.
Yeah. Yeah. And then since even when you get down to the exercise like walking, I find that when I go on walks, my mind is clear. Then I think about the Lord. I talk to the Lord while I'm walking. I listen to His word while I'm walking. And when I'm telling you, when I come off the walk, I'm in a better frame of mind than before I left. So yeah. So they let you the eating, the exercise, you know.
Think about all of those things. In the Black culture, it's usually acceptable to have some amount of weight on you. How dangerous do you think that could be when you're growing up, and then you just all of a sudden cross this line?
I think we're going to take it back to we may say it's okay to have weight on you, right? We I think we probably carry a little more weight than the average cultures, right? But at the end of the day, I think that we would have to take it further back. Even if you have that little bit of weight on you, we don't know if I teach you how to eat.
Yeah.
You know, then you can draw. I think that you can draw a line, and it'll stop you from going overboard, right?
Yeah.
But if I say, "Oh, you just got a little weight on you," and you continue in your, I'm kind of, I want to say, I'm kind of supporting.
Yeah, enabling.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good word. Enabling you while you maybe what it took you to get with that little weight on you, and I know I used to tell one of the sisters, she said, "Oh, there's weight." I'm like, "Oh, girl, you look good," and stuff. But then I thought, because even she brought attention, if she's not satisfied,
right,
and she then just support her
in that.
Support her in the her journey that she wants to lose that weight, then support her, say, okay.
And that's what I was thinking too about this whole conversation. The church could be a great support in helping facilitate some of this, just for the things that we're talking about, of how your body is for God's use, right? And then He gives us these ways to heal ourselves. And do we take those things? Do we use them?
And I think that because you saying that when they preach to you or teach you, right? It's spiritual, but that it always, even in that, they bring it to the practical, where you must live this life on this earth. For some reason, we just don't take it to the weight. You understand? We don't as a church, and maybe some churches have, but I can only speak to, as a church, we will take it to, this is how you're supposed to live, all the practical parts of how that should look. If you say you belong to Christ, we will do that. But then it's another part that we should have, I think, in helping them with their weight, because, okay, yeah, we have to live in a way that pleases God. It includes
that,
right? And for some reason, we just kind of like stay on the spiritual part, and we don't give help to like the others who need some weight
counseling, right? Yeah, but I was gonna say, like, on my other side of the family, there's 7 Day Adventist, so it practices a lot of wellness, right? But even in the Black 7 Day Adventist church, comparable to their counterparts, they're still overweight. They do live a more, I guess, say healthier lifestyle than on a day to day. But theirs is still skewed toward, more, shaky eating habits. You know what I'm saying? So,
and we were saying, why is that for us?
Well, I heard a good interview the other day, and it was saying, and not we thinking about scarcity, right? Not stuff being around, but it was an interview with Cat Williams, and Joe Rogan asked, why do Black people like menthol cigarettes? And I was like, what a question is that? And Cat Williams, he's very intelligent. He said, because we appreciate concentrated things, like strong things. And we like we take value in how strong it is. And I was like, oh, that is true. We do. We do. Even sometimes people don't understand about their medication, but they come in and they say, oh, this one says 200 and this one says 500, and it's two different set medicines. Like they don't even the same thing, but they assume because the number is higher that this one is better, right?
Yes.
And we do that. Yeah, we do that.
We do. I don't know. You must have to take it all the way back.
Yeah, I think it comes from scarcity, like not having. And so when you get something, you want it to be quality when you get it, right?
Yes, yes, that's true.
And that's the truth with our food too.
Yes.
What we have, if we want to make it the best it can taste.
I was just thinking that we like to hear it. We like people to appreciate that food and say how good it is, and we can care less how much sugar we
put it
to make it that good, right?
Yeah, I remember times I would see my grandmother making the candy yams, and I was like, I couldn't. When I was old enough to know what she was doing, like I was like, she's put. You see how much sugar she poured? It's like a 10-pound,
5 or 10 pound bag, and
like she's very bold in doing that. She has a lot of confidence in pouring that much sugar in the food, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do that. And so that's part of it too. And my grandmother's doing her best. She loves to cook for us, and my grandmother didn't have too much of a weight problem most of her life.
And she didn't have all those ailments. The doctor, she was in good health, but she wasn't helping us.
She wasn't helping us. She wanted that food to be good, and she was pouring on that sugar and that butter, and she good meals.
Thank the Lord. But thank the Lord for you, because you, I think you have caused us to look at our weight probably more than we would have without you being in that field. And my son, Jonathan Pope, who is my pastor also, Jonathan Pope Jr., he just has it down to an art. I would say, and he encourages me, but he has it down to an art.
I'll have to have him on here because my cousin and my aunt was talking about those challenges I did. I didn't even remember that I used to do all of that stuff before, how long I've been doing it. He started with those challenges, right? And then it made it his whole lifestyle till now. And he's used all that he's learned. He kept going past those challenges and kept doing it. And then he's used it to get closer to God. He used it to, challenge himself and see how he can get his physique going, and to see if he can discipline himself, refuse things to see how well he can discipline himself do other things, right? Discipline his body. He's telling his body, I'm in control of you.
That's right.
You're not in control of me. And I'm able to do that on some things, but not. He's like really, really have done a wonderful job at that. And I've also found that the more when I was fasting, I saw how I was doing things. I saw that I had other areas that needed to be under control, that were in chaos, like this shopping. Like it's crazy, you know what I mean? Or why do you keeping things? Like I want, it's not in a dirty, nasty way, but not wanting to get rid of things. You need to release that, you know what I mean? Or you don't have to have those things. Why are you so fixed on this certain thing? And it stops you from having all those limits or something chaining you, holding you down, when you're able to discipline yourself in certain areas.
And he has got it down to an art where his discipline crosses his relationship with Christ, his home life, his the food. It crosses all the way over. The Lord has blessed him. I know the Lord has been with him, and I can see is a role model for me in that, because he has the willpower. It's a part of his life. He doesn't stop anybody else from eating. But you eating does not make him eat.
No, it doesn't.
He knows how he desires to look, and so he goes about to he knows what it takes, so he goes about to do it. And so he's a good example.
Well, I learned that lesson. He learned it by disciplining himself that way. I learned it by just not being able to, like physically not being able to. So I'm okay if everybody's eating and I'm not eating. You know what I mean? Or I don't have to eat for enjoyment. So if something even doesn't taste good, I won't eat it. But people have to come to that, and if they come to that in their own time,
yes. So hopefully I will.
But she's doing great. She's doing great.
I'll get it. Like I said before, I know what the Lord wants, and I try to hit that mark, but it hasn't translated. Like, Piggy, you don't have to eat sweets. You don't have to, it hasn't gotten there fully. Well, pray for me, saints.
Well, having suffered from food addiction probably since I was born. I don't know when it happened, but it happened. It started happening. And then that's always going to be in my mind, to have the sweet. It's just like, do I want to suffer the consequences of it? That's the thing.
Yeah. Our master, how much you can have. And then,
like I was saying, that food addiction. Okay, I don't know. I just probably came here with addictions. I was a thumb sucker, right? Then that food happened, and then after the food, it was some work going on, and now it's just shopping. And I'm trying to discipline myself to that. So this year I've been not buying anything, and I've been doing pretty good with that. And I gotta say that if I had never, going back to having that surgery, if I had never done that, I wouldn't probably be able to discipline myself too much.
Well, thank the Lord that you have, because now you've been working on us, and she's working on the little kids. And I think that's one of the regrets I have, is that not teaching them how to eat healthy. You just food somehow is happiness. So ice cream, candy. I wouldn't say I was the worst, but I could have did
we could
better.
Just go nilly-willy in the cabinets and getting all we wanted to get. It were limits on some things, but Yep. So, and then I would say, like, I'm really close to my aunt and my grandparents on both sides. My family are close to each other on both sides, so I have that luxury that some people don't have. But I knew all my cousins we saw each other on a daily basis. So like, we go to one house, it was whoever the rule was, where parents said that was the rule.
Yes,
so
that's it.
If we were like, we said they can have 2 cookies, then it was 2 cookies everywhere we went. So like, it wasn't a village that like we go to the village. The villages were in your house, so we were all raised together, doing the same things, keeping consistency amongst us. So when I couldn't leave my house and my mom told me a rule, and then I go to my aunt's house and say, oh no, I'm over here I can get to have 3 cookies, not 2. So they kind of kept us in line with that way.
I think it just was our choices, though. If we would have given you other things, the cookies wouldn't have mattered, right? If we would have trained you up on other things, and I think.
So that was a lot. Let's see where we get. I got to see if we can wrap this up with this. Okay, so how can we take this back to our church, or take it back to our family? How can we address the topic of body image in the children at the church, even our children, our family, like Jada, and how it relates to our spiritual life? What can we do after this today to say where we can take it back?
Well, but I think you guys have started where you do the meetings once a month, and you try to deal with their health, the teenagers' health. I think that's very good, because some of them are not getting it at home, and so you're giving Kamika, my sister, and you have other sisters of the church that come together and they deal with the women, the girls, all right? Hygiene and their health. I think that's a great start. And but we just have to be consistent in that, right? And so where we might meet once a month and maybe twice a month would even be better for them, where you are giving them information and teaching them, taking them places, right, and showing them another way to live other than just I guess in something else to love other than food.
You reward them with different things than food.
Yeah, you take them places and you see that food is not as important as they seem to. Some of them really think it is, right?
Like every minute, like sometimes they'll be like, can we have this? I'm
and
like,
they're not even hungry.
Yeah. Or something. Okay, they were with me earlier, and then we get another one, so it's time to get them something. Well, they want the one that was with me all day wants the same thing they had too. So yeah.
So I think you guys are you're on the road, and you just need we just need more of that, right? To make them conscientious about, like I say, now the hygiene and the health, and that was something that when we were young we did not have, right? Especially the health aspect.
Well, I feel like a lot of times too, even like we're talking, because our church is like really free with saying like, but I know some things people say that's my business, you know what I mean? So it could be a touchy subject about some of this stuff, but like we're saying about how important health was to God, we should be making it a focal point in how we speak. The language needs to change.
And then part of it is we need to be more humble as saints of God, right? Because we are brothers and sisters, and so we even when we're supposed to depend on each other, right. And so even when we're up to doing something we should not be doing, we are supposed to get in the business. Right? And I know that saints, though, there's some saints who may not want you in their business, but I think you got to give it a go, because that you are that's your brother, your sister, and the Lord calls us to that type of thing, right? And it's not to say that they're going to do it or obey what you have to say to them, but you got to give it a go, right? And sometimes you'll be surprised at how receptive some people are, though.
Yeah. So like you can't just be saying in your mind, I can't because they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
You already gave yourself another limitation.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we've had a good time talking. We already had talked like an hour before this stuff. And we can talk anytime. But I really like to thank my aunt for coming and talking with me on today again on part 2 of this dynamic between the church and your health.
Yes.
Not just your weight, your health. We talking about weight today, but it's your health. You got to make the time, take the time out. It's as important as Bible study.
And that's true.
Right. Yeah.
But we got to know it.
We got to know it. Yeah, we got to know it. So I want to encourage you all, whoever's listening out there, continue to listen. But I want to encourage you and challenge you to take control of yourself and get to doing better with your health. You know,
that's right.
Check in with God and check in with the doctor from time to time.
Amen.
Okay. So that is our prayer for you today. And thank you so much for joining us on Shape Your Life podcast. I'm Dr. Kamika. This is my aunt, Cynthia Polk. And what we do on this podcast, we talk about weight loss. We talk about self-development. And we talk about self-realization. Yeah. So hopefully you get something out of these conversations. And we're going to continue to do it. Thank you. Bye-bye.